I am grateful. I was so tired coming in, and it's just taking me a few minutes to gather myself, and I feel like I'm still into that process a little bit. And I'd been thinking this week about guilt, because last week when I was talking about. I just hit my chest. It's gonna be a while, but I was talking about being able, holding a resentment is holding me back from. It's holding me illusion and it's holding me back in my practice. And guilt does the same thing. And guilt feels very different to me. Um, I thought a long time and eventually realized some things about the relationship between guilt and shame. So, having done the 12 steps, I've done a fourth and a fifth and an eighth and a ninth step. And those two steps, know what those are. Those of you who don't, it's essentially, doing an inventory and looking at myself, and then going to those people and making things right to the best of my ability. And I've done that for so many things. And even with doing that, there is still a shadow, still a ghost of guilt. And I recognize that when I've had guilt for something for so long, I identify with it. It becomes part of myself. And when I identify with it, that's when it becomes shame. It's not the only part of shame, but it is a part of shame. And there are so many things that I identified with. I will tell people, and I believe it's good because I want other people who struggle with rage to know that I have it and I've done well with it. And when I identify with that, I'm not recognizing that in many ways, I'm a harbinger of peace. So I say, well, I have rage. I have all this rage, and I breathe through it and let it go and don't act out on it. And that's peace. That's compassion. Identity, when I identify with my guilt, it brings me into the world of delusion and it affects my practice. And there are many things I wouldn't do in my life because I'm like, oh, I'm such an angry person that would not be good for me to do that. Like work on these projects that are really stressful and I'm afraid I'll just have an anger fit. And I haven't had these things in years, but I still have that strong identity with that anger. So guilt, let me think. I'm gonna show how guilt becomes shame. I made an amends to my brother twice. The last time in 2011, the year he died. And at one time, when I was 21 or 22, one of the last times I ever was in a physical altercation, my father and I got into a fight. I became so angry I broke the front door. My brother came in and tried to get me to stop fighting, and I began hitting my brother on the side of the head because I didn't want to hit him in the face. For some reason, I couldn't hit him in the face, but I could hit him in the side of the head. I can't explain that. I don't know why. And then the police came and said I had to leave Tacoma or I could go to jail. So I left Tacoma. So I had a long conversation with my brother about that, and he expressed his feelings, and we shared our love for each other and our sadness about what had happened in the past. But I still feel the shadow of that event. It's like my brain goes, see? You're just like all those violent people who you did not like as a kid. You're no different. And to quote Julia, that's the truth, but it's not the whole truth. I am no different. And when I start giving those folks a break, they are no different and different at the same time also. I got to see a lot of people transform in my life, and some I didn't. They got worse, but some got better. So that delusion was keeping me from reality and keeping me from my best practice. I watch that very much. When I see guilt in my life now, it's because I think I'm not doing things well enough. I very much have imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome means it's like I'm faking it. It's like I don't do anything well and I'm just faking it and somehow everyone's buying it, which doesn't make any sense logically for what I've done, but that's what I feel like a lot. And that's, again, the guilt and my identity with that and the shame. Forgiveness in these cases looks like a recognition when I have those feelings. I don't see those feelings going away anytime soon. But I do see them going away. They are much less. I used to be much harder on myself and berate myself. And I act out less, if at all. One of the most important things in my life now is peace and nonviolence and no ahimsa, no harm to myself or others. It's a value I hold dear and I've developed. And I need to recognize, even in those violent days, that was a value I had. I didn't want to be that way. If I wanted to be that way, I'd still be that way today. I did not want to be that way. So luckily, I've had many spiritual teachers and practice, and I'm changing over time. If nothing, I'm always changing. So I have a meditation I stole. I like taking meditations. And I took it from Sean Fargo, who led this meditation. And it's called Mindfulness of Shame. So if everyone wants to get situated, I'm just going in there. I'd just like to extend a gentle, friendly invitation to find a posture that feels relaxed and alert. Just finding a position that feels embodied, perhaps somewhat noble, where you can bring full awareness to the body. Perhaps feeling the bottoms of your feet flat on the ground. Really sensing into the earth below and the support of the ground. Feeling the weight of your body on the seat and just opening up to the sense of gravity. The feeling of that downward pull. Noticing a sense of groundedness of your body, whatever it's touching. And opening to the fullness of the body. Just take a moment to enjoy your body and its groundedness. Noticing all of the predominant sensations around the feet and the legs, the pelvic area, the belly, the chest, the heart, shoulders, the neck, feeling the arms and the hands, the head and the face, and taking a couple of deep breaths, relaxing the belly as we breathe in and out. Now shifting our awareness to recall a moment or a topic that you might feel perhaps a little bit of shame around. Perhaps there's some form of self-judgment, some part of your life that perhaps doesn't feel like you measure up in some way. Or there's just a little bit of shame, nothing too intense, on something where you might feel like you want to cringe or hide or self-criticize. And allow yourself just to reflect on that topic or that aspect of your life, and allow that sense of shame to come forth. Allow it to be felt and to be known. Begin to notice what's happening around the body, what's happening in your experience. If you had to describe how this feels to a friend, how might you describe the sensations and the thoughts and the feelings? And what happens to you when you allow yourself to go there? We may be judging the experience to be right or wrong, and noticing any judgment and seeing it. If we can, just pause the judgment for a moment and be curious. Be curious about the actual experience itself. So opening to this mild sense of shame with gentle, caring curiosity for how this experience feels right now. and staying open and staying curious about the changing sensations and the changing experience. Noticing judgments arising, but being curious about the actual experience. Remembering to breathe and stay connected with the body. Noticing how this experience changes as we open to it with this gentle curiosity. We're okay. Thankful for ourselves for having the courage to open to what is uncomfortable. Thankful for this opportunity to heal, to understand, to simply be without judgment. And now, perhaps taking a couple more deep breaths with the belly. Feeling that sense of groundedness with the ground below, sensing into the fullness of the body as you breathe. And maybe bring this sense of caring and curiosity with you for your experience for the rest of the day. Namaste. Okay, thank you all for being my teachers, and I'm going to do the dedication of merit. Refuge does not arise in a particular place, but in the space within the goodness of our hearts. When this space is imbued with wisdom, respect, and love, we call it Sangha. We hope that the pain of addiction, trauma, and feeling apart actually lead us back toward the heart, and that we might understand compassion, wisdom, and change ever more deeply. As we have learned from practice, great pain does not erase goodness, but in fact informs it. May we make the best use of our practice and whatever freedom arises from our efforts here today. May this be a cause and condition for less suffering and more safety in the world. Namaste.